All right, here we are. I'm gonna give this whole YouTube thing a go, I guess. I wasn't really sure what sort of medium I wanted to do this with, but I've been toying with this idea the last several years of really taking a deep dive on the 1500 meters in the mile. It's been my event, right? It's what I've done my whole career. It's something I've been a fan of ever since I was a kid, way before I became a runner at the international level, and I just love pouring through all of the different books and videos of all of the greats. Steve Cram was a big favourite of mine, and obviously John Walker and Peter Snell from New Zealand, Kip Keino winning the '68 Olympics. It's something it's been my passion throughout most of my life, and I really wanted to provide an avenue to really evaluate what's going on in the 1500 meters and the mile specifically, and sort of analyze who are the top competitors each week, each month, each year, and sort of maybe create a ranking system and all that sort of stuff. But it seemed a little bit inappropriate to do that while I'm still competing against my peers, I suppose. It's hard to rank people and sort of give analysis when I've got to line up against these same people on the start line. But I finished my 1500 meter final and here in Tokyo. Didn't quite advance through, but it provides some other opportunities. It gives you a chance to sort of, I'm here in Tokyo now where we've just had the women's 1500 meters last night. It was an epic race. We'll dive into that a little bit, but it's also a chance to talk about it firsthand while it's still fresh in mind. And hopefully we'll give this a go and maybe it will lead into something else. But at this stage, this is the first YouTube video, and I think the first one will take a deep dive on the women's 1500 meters last night, and then maybe I'll make a second video right after, and I'll post it just as two separate videos of the men's 1500, sort of my predictions, how I think it could possibly go. I'll probably be way wrong, and that's okay, but it'll be interesting to see what everyone else thinks anyway. So the women's 1500 meters at the Olympic Games last night, man, it was built up to be sort of this epic showdown between two of the greatest performers in history, and it certainly lived up to that kind of race. Safan was going for this sort of unprecedented triple, trying to do the 5K, 15, 10K sort of gauntlet here in Tokyo, and having run 350 at the World Champs 2 years ago, it was hard to bet against her. I thought, gosh, that seems like a pretty crazy challenge, especially considering Kipyegon beat her in Monaco only a few weeks earlier, and then Laura Muir, who ran a 156 800 in Monaco, but still decided to forego the 800 and do the 15. You knew she had to be in great shape, right? If she was willing to let go of the chance of running the 800, a race that she probably would have had a good shot at a medal in as well. And I even thought, just talking about Laura for a second, I was like, man, was that potentially a dangerous decision? With Kipyegon and Safan seemed to be the class of the field. She might try and go with them like she did in past championships, and then fade and have somebody else come through. And I guess we'll dive right into what Laura's race as well. Like, it worked out for her when she started making a move around the bend on Hassan with 150 meters to go. I was like, Laura, is that risky? Safan's probably going to hold you off and maybe you're going to tie up the last 50, but no, she definitely hung on. It was just an incredible race, especially Kipyegon. She ran 353, I think. I don't even know what she was at the bell. But in these conditions, after all the rounds, the first 800 I think was only 207, something like that. So I didn't think they were going to close that fast. And Kipyegon made the move down the back straight, 250 to go. Hassan looked like she was going to hold her off, and I was like, oh gosh, she's going to be caught wide on the bend and having to run an extra 2 or 3 meters as Safan's going to run this cagey race, just staying in front the whole way. But Kipyegon got the jump on her down the back straight, managed to get the rail into the bend, and she was gone. That was the end of the race. The Olympic champion, that's incredible. She's just had a baby a couple of years ago, and she's bounced back. Alison Felix gets all this credit for being the mom who got bronze, and absolutely she deserves it. But I think people are under telling the story of Faith Kipyegon doing that, and I personally was really happy to see Laura Muir go past Hassan at the end, because she's fresh. She hasn't ever won a World Championships or Olympic medal before, and Hassan was doing this triple, which I thought was a little bit disrespectful to the other athletes, that she was able to say, well, it doesn't matter if I have to run 2 races in the same day, and gosh, she is looking like she is potentially going to pull it all off as well. But Muir came through and she won her first Olympic medal and her first championship medal, and you could see like the joy and delight on her face as she crossed the line. There was this sort of temporary state of disbelief, but also like she's like, finally I got this. Like, you knew that she's one of the greatest runners we've ever seen, especially out of Great Britain, and to have no hardware to show for it, it didn't seem appropriate, right? And so I think Laura was a really deserved silver medalist, and Hassan, she front ran it and she ended up getting the bronze, which was really impressive. And those three definitely made a break. And I think after the semifinals, I had been thinking that perhaps the depth in the women's running wasn't quite as strong as in the men's, because there seemed to be a lot more spacing between those who qualified for the final and everybody else. But then looking through the results, I think the 7th place still broke 4 minutes for the 1500, maybe even 8th place. Gabrielle Stafford ran incredibly well. She ran 3:58. I was just really impressed to see the depth in there. All the way back, I think the two Americans, Puria obviously wasn't in quite the same shape she was in the trials. She ended up finishing with a very, very respectable time. I think 4:01 or 4:02 in the end, and Corey McGee was down in 4:05. So yeah, it's cool to have two Americans in the final. Australia did really well as well. Lyndon Hall ran a PB of 3:59 in the Olympic final. You can't ask for more than that, especially in those conditions after 3 really hard rounds. They weren't jogging in the rounds. Like, people were having to give it 100% just to qualify for the final. I think in the semi-final, she let it out the whole way. She ran a really gutsy race and really, I think she ran a 4:01 basically from the front, something along those lines. So to run a 3:59 in the final. And Jessica Hull, she had an incredible semi-final. I think she ran a 3:58 national record. She beat Linda Hall's national record, but Jessica Hull got the national record in the semi-final. So she ran out of steam a little bit, but to still run a 4:02 in the Olympic final, there's no shame in that. So I was really impressed. And Tanaka, again, the Japanese, who ran the first ever Japanese woman to break 4 minutes in the semi-finals with a national record, she backed that up with another 3:59. So yeah, it really sets the precedent that the 1500 meters is super strong in both the women's and the men's races. And these conditions are obviously still conducive to very fast times. The humidity doesn't seem to be a factor. I didn't really think it was a factor for my own running. Sure, you felt it out there on the track, but you're only out there for 3 or 4 minutes. It's not a huge factor. And these women ran really fast times. And does that mean the men's race is going to be really fast as well? We'll have to wait and see.